As of right now, it looks like Xenoblade 2 has been graced with a pretty strong Switch 2 edition upgrade, and we'll be looking into it in this video. Nintendo's marketed promise is once again 4K 60, but we'll break that down. Before the Switch 2 edition though, Xenoblade 2 runs more stable on the Switch 2 hardware just via backwards compatibility. The game has a dynamic resolution, and the Switch 2 is powerful enough to maintain the highest dynamic resolution and could maintain a pretty stable 30. Boost mode was great too because the game was very messy undocked before. Now for the Switch 2 edition. The Switch 2 edition's UI is 4K, and it's cool that they took the chance to change the kerning on the text when doing so. However, the resolution that the game is actually rendering at, I have doubts is 4K. In fact, thanks to Digital Foundry, we know it's somehow actually 720. I think what matters is the final result though, and the image itself is soft with whatever temporal anti-aliasing they got going on, but Xenoblade 2's base game was already an upscaling mess that it's hard to say that it's not an improvement thanks to less artifacts and less dithering. There were other image adjustments too that helped, like shadows and ambient occlusion clearly were updated as well. Frame rate wise, the game now goes up to 60, and while it isn't a locked 60, it's more tolerable than Xenoblade 1 60 FPS. The dips aren't as severe or as often, and that's good for a game where effects can fill the screen significantly more and provide me pretty easy worst case scenarios to test here. Even areas that the Switch 1 struggled with in the base game are now fine. So again, it's something that could be better, but they did a pretty good job, I think. With the 60 FPS, we've seen some trouble in the prior Xenoblades, like for example, menus not being fully 60. For the most part with Xenoblade 2, damn near every menu is 60 FPS and feels slightly more responsive once you get used to them again. Oh, and just like prior Xenoblade games, some animations and cutscenes weren't interpolated to 60 FPS, so for example, when characters turn in cutscenes, that animation's still 30 FPS. It's also nice that you can now save clips of the game on the Switch itself, and you can press L and R together to take screenshots without the UI. We'll also find that not only are load times much better, environments and textures load much faster now. I looked into the audio mixing issue reports, and yeah, something is going on with the audio mixing, and it's apparent at all settings where music is quieter and sound effects are much louder, so you can use the volume sliders to adjust things, but things may be updated in a patch later. New to the Switch 2 edition is the Blade Momo. You pick her up at Tora's house and start her quest over in the Kingdom of Uriah, nearby the Stone Gate ruins in the stomach. We've also got a new game mode that lets you play out mercenary missions with real-time combat, as opposed to just sending the blades out on their own. It's a simple but appreciated alternative and minigame mode. I like having interaction and more utilization for all of the blades hands-on, and playing out these missions myself has led to progressing a lot of affinity charts and starting a lot of blade quests I hadn't done yet. When you finish a Merc Assault mission, you'll unlock new costumes for Pyra and Mithra that are toggled in the options. You can also unlock these costumes via the Pyra and Mithra amiibos, which the amiibos will also give some small goodies too, but sorry, I'm not opening mine to show that. For the new content, nearly everyone returns to reprise their roles. Zeke was recast though, Drawmark had to be recast due to his actor passing away, and Momo's VA was different from her Xenosaga voice actors. The narration for the new mode is also a different voice actor than the usual battle narrator. People have found a number of gameplay adjustments in Xenoblade 2 as well with the Switch 2 edition. The biggest one being that field skills will now utilize all blades you have rather than only the ones that are equipped. Also, collection nodes are much faster to collect from now and immediately spawn everything to pick up. There's other possible changes too, it's just that these are the biggest and most noticeable by people, so more things may be found, but keep an eye out for potential placebo like changes to blade drop rates. Again, potential placebo, they may have changed it, we don't know. Overall, this is what I've been personally looking for from any of the Xenoblade upgrades, and it's enough for me to start up New Game Plus and see if my thoughts on Xenoblade 2 have changed over the years and post Xenoblade 3. There's still a lot of room for improvements on all fronts, but Xenoblade 2 for sure needed this, and it is great that we got it. Thanks for watching, guys. We're going to try to cover some Switch 2 Final Fantasy XIV in the future, and thank you for watching, and thank you all for the continued support, and bye for now.